If you're in the market for a new 3-row family SUV but want to go fully electric, it's a pretty well-known fact that you're going to be spending a little over $100,000 to buy something like a Tesla Model X, a Rivian R1S, or the new Cadillac Escalade IQ. Now, Hyundai has been playing in the all-electric space with the excellent Ioniq 5 for the past few years. It's got a reputation for being one of the quickest charging EVs in the game and also having a very modern, futuristic design. Now, for 2026, Hyundai is expanding the Ioniq family with the addition of this. This is the flagship 3-row 2026 Hyundai Ioniq 9. It's built off of the excellent eGMP architecture, which means it's one of the quickest charging EVs in the game, offers up to 335 miles of range, seating for up to 7 people, and a base price of just under $60,000. So today we're actually out here in beautiful Savannah, Georgia, because we finally get to drive the US spec version of the new Ioniq 9, and the big question I went into, for those of you who are looking for a new family SUV, but you want to go fully electric without breaking the bank, how does the brand new 2026 Ioniq 9 stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we get into the very unique styling of the 2026 Ioniq 9, let me first go ahead and pop the hood and show you guys if this car has a frunk, because that's always the million-dollar question with any electric vehicle. And because it's built on the excellent eGMP architecture, it does have a frunk, although a somewhat small one given the size of this vehicle. Now, as you can see underneath here, you're going to find roughly 3 cubic feet of storage. It basically has enough space for the mobile charger that's included, along with a couple of other small bags. But since we're underneath here, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain specs, because here in America, Hyundai makes it pretty simple, although I am a little surprised because they did change a couple things in terms of the output for the US spec cars. So all of them will basically draw their power from a large 110.3 kilowatt hour battery pack. This is the only battery that's available here in America on the Ioniq 9. It allows the vehicle to go up to 335 miles of range on the rear-wheel drive S version. However, all-wheel drive models are either going to have 320 or 311 miles of range. The base S version will just have a single motor at the back axle, delivering around 215 horsepower. The SE and SEL trims will have around 303 horsepower from their dual electric motors. Now, if you guys go for the limited or the 2 Calligraphy trims, which is the one I'm showing you here, the Calligraphy design, you get up to 422 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. Remember, this vehicle shares an architecture with the also new Kia EV9, although the Hyundai has 422 horsepower versus 379 in the Kia. They both have the same 516 foot-pounds of torque. It all goes out through a 1-speed reduction gear transmission, and you have an electronic all-wheel drive courtesy of the front and the rear electric motor. Now, Hyundai says the 0 to 60 time should be around 4.9 seconds. We'll test it out when we get the vehicle out on the road. Top speed is around 124 miles an hour, and this is a pretty big SUV. It can tow up to 5,000 pounds, and as this car sits, this is also the heaviest vehicle in Hyundai's lineup, which doesn't surprise me. It's their biggest and most expensive, weighing in at just over 6,000 pounds for this fully loaded Calligraphy design trim level. But let's go ahead and close up the hood here and talk about the exterior styling, because as you can see, this model that I'm showing you here is the creme de la crop. It's the top of the line version, painted in this beautiful matte color called Gravity Gold Matte. It's an extra $1,000. In fact, this is how you know you're looking at the Calligraphy design trim, because this trim is the highest trim and it's only available in 2 matte colors, basically this gold or I believe like a silvery gray. You can see the look of this car is very futuristic, but also very attractive. I really love the hood, how it has basically a very wide kind of flat appearance to it with the new Hyundai logo. Of course, it's got their pixel LED theme headlights here, where you have this full-length LED light bar and a pixel arrangement. You can see the upper portion here is the LED turn signals and the daytime running lights. It has a beautiful light signature at night. And then down here, you can see the Calligraphy has an updated headlight, or an upgraded headlight. You can see they are basically a cube style full LED, which also has individual cube accents to the right of the actual headlight modules, along with a kind of stainless steel border around each of the individual LEDs. These are also adaptive auto high beam headlights. These headlights are unique to the Calligraphy. It certainly looks very bold, along with the kind of very flush design of the front end. As you can see, the pixel theme kind of carries over into this kind of like glossy area, which has like a see-through panel. There's your front camera system and the radars for the Highway Driving Assist 2.0, of course. And you can see down here you have some active grille shutters that open and close depending on whether you need air or not. You have a front camera system, like I said, and very nicely integrated parking sensors. And overall, you can really see how this car belongs in the Ioniq family, but at the same time, the car kind of has its own unique identity. It doesn't share any body panels with, of course, course, the Kia EV9. I actually prefer this car's look over the Kia, which I love the way the Kia looks, but there's something about the Ioniq 9 that I think just looks a little bit better. Looks are always a subjective thing. Now, moving around the side profile, this is also one of the biggest vehicles in Hyundai's lineup, although the new Palisade for 2026 is also about the same size, but the wheelbase on this car is larger at 123 inches in the wheelbase with a 199.2 inch overall length. Compared to the previous generation Palisade, this is around 5 inches longer with a 9-inch longer wheelbase. This vehicle is around 78 inches wide, so it's about the same width, but it's also around an inch lower versus the new generation Palisade. Now, as you can see, looking at the wheel arch trim, the Calligraphy also has some unique features like body colored finishes around the wheel arch trim. In other trims, this is actually either a flat black or a gloss black. I much prefer it in the body color arrangement. It kind of looks like an eyebrow. When you guys don't have it a body colored. You can see this trim also comes with a unique wheel. These are the 21-inch turbine style, kind of a two-tone wheel with multiple spokes. It's very intricate looking. It's riding on a 285 by 45 R21 tire. If you guys go for the regular Calligraphy, you kind of have a directional 5-spoke design. Base wheels basically start at a 19-inch wheel going up to a 20 for the SEL and 21 if you go for the Limited and up. The ground clearance on this vehicle is around just under 7 inches. There are adaptive dampers, but no air suspension. I wasn't expecting to find that on this class, although for considering the price of this vehicle, it wouldn't be bad to actually have Hyundai included. You can see there is some gloss black along the side sill here that certainly gives a unique look. The side mirrors, as you can see, compared to the model I drove in Korea a couple months ago, we have traditional side mirrors with integrated turn signals, full 360 camera. They also power fold, and then above on the roof you can see you have these nicely integrated aluminum roof rails, and you also have a panoramic sunroof that also opens up, which is also really nice. A lot of competitors only just give you basically the glass roof option, but if you back away from the vehicle, I love the way this car looks. It kind of gives me hints of Volvo with like a long roof wagon design. I think that Hyundai nailed it in terms of the overall profile, and it certainly looks very bold, very modern, very futuristic, but at the same time, just very standoutish. There's a lot of EVs in this class which either look too conventional or look too much like a spaceship. I think Hyundai strikes a really nice balance here. Now, looking at the rear, it's also very polarizing, but I think it's polarizing in a good way. You can see really much gives you those Volvo cues. I especially love the taillights with the pixel theme. They actually have LED turn signals, LED taillights, and the entire third brake light, as you can see, goes around the top half of the tailgate, which kind of makes it look like it has one continuous light piece. It's a little different versus the light bar that goes across the middle. I much prefer this. It looks really unique how it goes across the top. There's kind of an integrated spoiler here. Your rear window wiper, as you can see, is hidden underneath there, very cleverly tucked away. It also boldly spells out Ioniq 9 at the back with the Hyundai logo that's behind the actual rear glass. You can see the bumper also has more of those pixels. The reverse light and the reflectors are down there. And then you can see, obviously this is an electric vehicle, so don't expect to find any kind of exhaust system, but there's also the tow hitch that you can find behind there, of course. Now, there's a camera system for the backup camera, the 360 camera, and the digital camera rearview mirror. And then if you want to open up the cargo area, you actually push this button over here. This trim also gives you a hands-free power liftgate function. And even though this vehicle, is the biggest vehicle, it also doesn't offer quite as much space as the new Palisade, I believe. Hyundai says the third row, when it's up, you get around 23 cubic feet of space, which is actually a lot. I'll be curious to know what the new Palisade offers, considering it is now the same size of this vehicle. You can see plenty of space here for my backpack or for a couple of roller bags. If you look underneath here, the underfloor storage is also decent, but I wish it was a little bit deeper. This is kind of where I was thinking Hyundai should have given us a little bit of a deeper storage. Well, if you want, you can fold down the third row here just by pushing a button. The Calligraphy trims have the power folding third row, which is definitely a nice touch. That expands the cargo to around 47 cubic feet of space. And if you want to fold down everything, Hyundai says you get a maximum of 89 or 88 cubic feet of storage space, which is definitely among the best in the segment. But keep in mind, some competitors are going to offer a little bit more because they are also much larger vehicles. Now, when it comes time to charge the Ioniq 9, the charge port door is power opening and closing. That's standard equipment on all trims, even the base. And as you can see here in America, we don't have the J1772 with the CCS combo like I showed you in Korea. Instead, all Ioniq 9s come standard with the NAC plug. This is the same one that Tesla uses, and all the other manufacturers are going to move to this plug at some point. But this vehicle does run on the 800-volt architecture, which means it can accept up to 350 kilowatts of max DC fast charging, allowing you to go from 10 to 80% in about about 24 minutes, which is among the quickest you're gonna find in this segment. It has around an 11 kilowatt onboard charger, so if you wanna plug this up at your home on a level 2, it'll take roughly 10 hours to go from 10 to 100% charge. And like I said, this model with the bigger 21-inch wheels is rated at 311 miles of range. If you guys step down to a model with the 20s or the 19-inch wheels, the range improves to around 320, which is still among the best in the industry, and you're also gonna have roughly 50 more miles of range versus this car's sister vehicle, the Kia EV9. Now moving on to the interior of this 2026 Hyundai Ioniq 9. Before we get inside, however, let me show you guys the key fob. As you can see, this is Hyundai's newest key fob, which kind of resembles an egg. If you flip it over on its side, you can see it has the Hyundai logo with lots of buttons here. As you can see, there's the lock, unlock, remote start, and panic button. And then on the side here, you have features like their smart park, where you can move the vehicle forward and back from the fob. You can also open up the front trunk, the hood, or the rear power liftgate. Hyundai also offers their latest digital key too. However, you have to go, I believe, for the limited trims and up to get that feature, which is where you can use your smartphone as a key. Now, as you can see, like other electric Hyundai models, if you lock the door, those retractable door handles, they retract, and then the mirrors will power fold in. If you want to unlock the doors, you can see they will retract back out, or they will extend back out, and then the mirrors will unfold themselves. It's a pretty cool gimmick, but some people, again, would just prefer a traditional door handle. I think it kind of goes with the theme of this vehicle, and as long as it works perfectly, I'm okay with it. Now, as you can see, looking at the interior, my particular test car has that gravity gold exterior with the gray two-tone finish H-Tech. So this is technically a synthetic leather. You can't get real leather in any version of the Ioniq 9. I think the base version has like a cloth and an H-Tech combination, but I have to say the Calligraphy seats certainly look like they were almost pulled out of a Genesis. There's these really nice little contrast piping elements and stitching elements. The seats are also heated and ventilated. They adjust in 14 different ways for the driver, I believe 12 different ways for the passenger. You get two-person memory here as well. They're heated, ventilated, like I said, and you get a massaging function on just the driver's side, so it has that ergo motion massage. There's also a little ottoman here where you can basically push this button, it'll extend this out. It's also on the passenger side, I believe, and this is nice if you're charging the vehicle. You can kind of kick back, take a nap, recline this, and kind of create a lounge seat, which is great. You can see the door panel material has a soft touch injection molded plastic, some alloy trim here, and silver painted plastic door handles. This is the button to activate the massage. There's your two-person memory. There's nice leather here and leather over here. The window controls, they're silver accented, one touch for all four. They have a nice high quality feel to them, power folding mirrors, like I said. Down here, it's also hard touch plastic, unfortunately. With some additional storage, you have the upgraded Bose stereo if you guys go for the upper trims and so forth. But overall, it certainly makes a great first impression. Looks pretty similar to other Hyundai models riding on this architecture. Now, stepping inside, with around 6.9 inches of ground clearance, it has that nice, easy SUV step-in height. As I shut the door has a pretty solid sounding thunk, but no soft close feature. Remember, this is a Hyundai, not a Genesis. I'm imagining Genesis will come out with their version at some point. Now, starting the vehicle up, they put the start-stop button here on the shift toggle thing. So push that, you can see it has the usual startup chime. It has a ready sign in the instrument panel, and all Ioniq 9s basically come with their latest infotainment screen, which is dual 12.3 inch display. So you have a 12.3 inch display here and a 12.3 inch display here, running on their newest CNCC software, which means it includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It certainly is easy to use. It's pretty much similar to every other Hyundai product that uses this screen layout, but I have to say it's starting to look a little bit on the smaller side, and that's only because a lot of other manufacturers in this class have like 14, 15, 17-inch displays. Some have basically a full-length display. So I'm wondering, you know, what's going to come forth on the next generation of Hyundai's infotainment system. They have a 27-inch display in something like the Genesis models, but this is definitely, you know, 24 across. It doesn't have the little screen here in the center, which is 5 inches, which you get in the Kia EV9, that basically houses your climate. Instead, Hyundai puts the climate down here, which I actually prefer. So even though this screen's starting to look a little bit smaller, I think it still works really well. It has their latest software and it's all fantastic. Now, looking at the dashboard materials, you can see the upper portion has this kind of cheaper feeling injection molded plastic. I really would have preferred Hyundai to use a nicer material here. Just like when I saw this car in Korea, you have this interesting trim that tries to look like Formica, like a laminate countertop with a really cool texture. You can see there's more of that silver painted plastic here. So it's definitely not gonna feel luxurious, but it certainly has a different look and feel. You can see there's a heads-up display on this trim. I believe it's standard on the Calligraphies. The limited and and up trims will also come with a power tilt telescoping wheel with their new Highway Driving Assist 2. That's a camera that watches your face to make sure you're paying attention. This is again the 4 illuminated dots. That basically means it's an H in Morse code. You have paddles behind the steering wheel to control the regen braking levels, and you have your controls for the adjusting your cruise control and for adjusting your audio, which is nice. The stalks here, you can see, have a high quality feel. The upper trims also include their blind view camera system, which is a great feature. I love how Hyundai puts it in the instrument panel. A lot of other manufacturers are going to start to copy that at some point. Down here you can see you have tri-zone climate control with nice knobs for the climate and for the volume and for the tuning, so it's pretty easy to use. And again, this system I've shown you before in other Hyundais. It's pretty quick and snappy and easy to use. It does have embedded GPS, of course, and the GPS will do automatic route planning. So if I want to go somewhere, it'll actually tell me where the charging stations are, how long I need to stop for before I can continue on for the trip. So that's all pretty much what you expect. The drive or your transmission selector is here. It's a stalk that you basically twist toward you to go to reverse. And as you can see, that pulls up the 360 camera with excellent quality and resolution, where you can literally do a full 360 perimeter scan around the vehicle. So that's all very, very nice. And the quality of the graphics is impressive. If I push it forward, that goes into drive, which also pulls up the camera as well at low speeds, and then push the end of this to go into park. Pretty straightforward. I like how they put it here because it frees up space here in the center console for more storage items. Now, as you can see, you've got your 3 USB-C charging ports. There's a total of 7 in this vehicle. There's a 12-volt power outlet here. You have another storage compartment here, another storage area down here. That UVC, basically UV light killer that you found in the Korean spec models is not here in the US, sadly, which is weird. They have it in the Santa Fe, but not in this car. Your drive mode selector is here. If you start to cycle through it, you can see, or toggle through it, you have a sport, my mode, normal, and eco. We'll try out the different drive modes later on. You can see it actually affects the range, and it also gives you maximum power when you're in sport mode. Your wireless phone charging pad is here, but the Santa Fe offers dual wireless charging pads. So I'm a little confused why Hyundai doesn't want to offer dual wireless charging pads. There is no additional storage here, at least I don't think, but I can slide this center console forward and back, which is a really nice touch to kind of give you more space over here to put items. Although I would have liked it if I could open this up to kind of give me like some more hidden storage, but this is a great feature. You can see the upper trims also have a fingerprint reader. You have a separate camera button there, a downhill assist control feature, big cup holders as well, a nice padded center console. And when you open this up, you can see it's not very deep, but if you pull this out, you can see it goes even deeper. And that's because the rear seat passengers have access to the storage area, and you can also open it from the back here. It's dual hinged, so that's a really nice feature as well. That I really like. Now, the seats, like I mentioned earlier, it's a synthetic leather. I like how Hyundai also gives you separate buttons here where you can move the seats forward and back on the passenger side from the driver's seat pretty easily, which is great. The glove box, as you can see, is damped. It goes into the dash. Lots of additional storage. You kind of have another storage shelf in there, which is pretty nice. So that also, makes this a nice family vehicle. The Bose stereo in this car also sounds pretty good. It's nothing super like class leading, but if you're an audiophile, you're on longer road trips, you're going to appreciate the sound quality. You can see the Calligraphy trims include a microfiber suede headliner. Only on these trims. You also have a digital camera review mirror. I think that's included if you guys go for the limited trims and up. You have LED ambient lighting. You can see there's a big panoramic sunroof with a nice electronic shade that opens up, which helps to block out the sun. Some competitors don't offer that. And then you can also open the sunroof, as you can see, with a built-in wind deflector. This is a feature you typically don't find in electric SUVs. Let me see if it actually opens up further. That's the largest that it opens, but again, it's nice how Hyundai at least gives you that feature to let in some fresh air and some additional light. So overall, as you can see, the interior of this car definitely is pretty nice. It's not the most luxurious. The technology in the car is, I'd say, average, but it's definitely nice how Hyundai, gives you a lot of that stuff. I just would have liked to see on the Calligraphy trim, maybe some genuine wood trim, some leather stitching on the dash, but I'm guessing that's probably what they have to save for the, eventual Genesis version of this car. Now, moving into the backseat area of the new Hyundai Ioniq 9, the first thing I'm noticing is this rear door is huge, and that's because it's got a wheelbase that's almost 10 inches longer than the previous generation Palisade. It also opens up a fairly large amount. This is going to be great if you need to get a child seat in here. Lots of space. As you can see, if you guys go for the limited trims and up, you're going to get captain's chairs, which limits the seating capacity to 6. Go for the SEL trims and below, and you'll have bench seats, a bench seat, so you have a seating capacity of up to 7. I kind of wish Hyundai would offer the bench as a no-cost cost option. Not everybody wants the captain's chairs, but again, most people do. As you can see, the captain's chairs also look pretty nice. They have adjustable headrests, adjustable armrests. They are also power, so you can actually move them back, and you can also recline them with power, which is a really great feature. There's also, it looks like an ottoman feature as well. And if you push that, you can see that's what allows you to kind of get access into the third row. It is relatively quick, but not as fast versus if you just have a manual moving second row. You can see the seats are also heated and ventilated. If you guys go for any of the models with captain's chairs, you're gonna have heated and ventilated second row seats. If you guys go for the limited trims, you'll have heated and ventilated, or I'm sorry, the SEL trims, you'll have heated and ventilated front row seats. So heated seats are standard across the board. The EV9, its sister vehicle, has heated and cooled seats as standard on all trims. However, not so in the Ioniq. You have to at least go for the SEL. Now, looking at the door panels, you can see soft touch injection molded plastic, more leather, aluminum accented trim for the door handle, nice padded here. You have two cup holders there, which is great, along with some additional door pocket storage. It's all hard touch plastic here, and this trim also has retractable sunshades, which are manual. Some competitors don't even give you that, so I love how Hyundai is including that thoughtful feature. Now, getting inside, you can see in terms of the second row legroom, let's go ahead and close the door. Unfortunately, Hyundai didn't have that final number just yet as of this filming. They did have the legroom specification for a model with the bench seat. And that model has around 42.8 inches of legroom. I would imagine this car probably has a similar amount. I mean, this is basically my driving position, and there is so much space for me to stretch out. The floor is completely flat in the center. I can easily cross my legs and get comfortable back here. This little console, as you can see, it slides open to give you additional storage. That's why you have that little area here where you can take that out to, give you the additional storage. You have your third zone climate here. You have heated and ventilated seats, which is standard on all models with the captain's chairs, which I love. You have two more USB-Cs here. These are 100-watt USB-Cs, so they're going to be fast charging if you guys have an iPad to charge up or a laptop. And you can see these armrests, they are slightly adjustable, which is nice. But in Korea, when I drove this car, you actually had a second row that had vibrating and massaging second row seats. Sadly, as you can see, it's not offered here in America. I really wish and hope Hyundai will eventually rectify that, because I loved that feature. The headrest, you can see they almost have like a wing design, but they don't actually adjust. That's something that the old Palisade offered, so I'm surprised they didn't want to include that. But as you can see here, the second row seat, I believe, adjusts in like 6 different ways. It allows me to adjust the thigh area to go up and down, along with the recline. And as you can see, in terms of the headroom space, tons of headroom, even though I have this glass roof taking up the space. The Alcantara carries over back here, along with your third row air vents in the ceiling. You have grab handles here, along with some LED ambient lighting back here as well. So the second row, as you can see, plenty spacious. It's just missing that massage feature that you got in the Korean market car, but other than that, the heated and cooled seat functionality, the retractable sunshades, these are all features that I think families are going to demand when you're looking in this class. Now, let me go ahead and show you guys the third row, because the third row in this vehicle, like, you can either access it by going through the middle or push that button. You can see the seats will power fold out of the way, which does take a little bit of time. A manual version basically would be faster, but it doesn't really give me that much space to get through back here. But once you get back here, you can see the seats only allow for 2 people across back here, which is not something that you get in the Palisade. The Palisade allows for 3 people across, but as you can see, we don't have the final legroom figures for the models with the captain's chairs. With the bench seat, Hyundai says you have around 30 inches of legroom back here, which is about 4 inches less than what you got in the previous generation Palisade. You can see this is with the seat almost all the way back. My knees are jammed up against here. I do have some decent foot space, but I would have to ask this passenger to move their seat forward a little bit, which, as you can see, when it's all the way back, there is room to spare, but this is kind of where, if you're looking at like an ID Buzz, you're gonna have way more space. Now, you do have USB charging ports here, and of course over there, along with the ability to recline the seat, a power recline function, which is nice. You also have hard touch plastic here with some more cup holders. This window is also pretty large, which I like. You have third row air vents. The sunroof doesn't come all the way into the third row, but as you can see, you do have some pretty good headroom space back here. The headrest also is nice because it actually provides some cushioning for your head. So overall, the third row, while it's definitely not the most spacious, it is usable for average size adults, but just keep in mind, for it to be usable for somebody my height, you have to ask the second row passenger here to move their seat up just ever so slightly. So the last time I drove the Hyundai Ioniq 9, I was actually in Korea, of all places. So now that we're back in America, more specifically Georgia, it's finally time to get behind the wheel of a US spec car. Now, I was pretty impressed with the way the Ioniq 9 drove out in Korea, which again, was a Korean spec car with some different features and whatnot. But this model here is pretty much the creme de la crop, the top of the line version. Let's go ahead and see what we can get 0 to 60 wise. I have the car in its sport setting, and let's go ahead and floor it. Oof, Ooh, you definitely feel that 516 foot-pounds of torque. 0 to 60 in 4.56 seconds there, and that's basically on par with what I got when I was in Korea. I think I got 4.6 seconds when I was out there with Alex Dykes from Auto Buyer Guide, formerly known as Alex on Autos. The regen braking in this car also is pretty good. There's basically 4 different levels of regen. I have it in the iPedal Max, which is going to give you max regen close to a 1-pedal drive, but 4.5 seconds is pretty much on par with the last Kia EV9 GT line that I tested, which technically has a little bit less power, although the Hyundai is a little bit heavier because of its heavier or bigger battery pack. But overall, I think that time, that acceleration should be plenty fast for most people. And I also love the fact that I'm sitting here in traffic. I'm not actually hitting the brakes because the 1-pedal drive is actually holding the car for me. So it's a true 1-pedal drive, which I appreciate. Now, the seats are also pretty comfortable and supportive. They have decent bolstering to kind of hold you in place. I mean, I'm sitting here getting a massage, which I love, although it's only on the driver's side. So sorry if you're a passenger, you're going to get shafted. Now, this car is around 6,000 pounds. So it is the heaviest version of the eGMP in Hyundai's arsenal, but you don't really necessarily feel the weight of this vehicle, which I really like. The visibility when you look out of the front and the side is also good. The view out of the back is also great because it has like a traditional window. If you want, you can go to the digital camera review mirror. That will give you a full uninterrupted 360 view. And then as we get onto this interstate here, as we head back to the hotel, when I signal here, I really love the blind view camera system, which basically shows you what's in your blind spot depending on which turn signal you've activated. Let's go ahead and start going into a steady cruise here, because this car really is a wonderful highway companion, because the ride quality is actually what I'm really surprised about. We are riding on big 21-inch wheels on a pretty fat 285 width tire. You can step down to a 20s on the SEL, which I actually like the way they look. There's a 19 that's standard on the baser trims of this car, the SE and the S version. There's a little bit more road noise than I expected. However, the road surface here in Georgia isn't the best, though. I'll have to wait until I get one back home on some smoother pavement. I mean, this is pretty smooth. It's just kind of noisy. I'm hearing some road noise creep in, but there's also very little wind noise, and that's because this car has a pretty slippery 0.269, 0.27 coefficient of drag. That's excellent considering this vehicle is very boxy on the outside. But perhaps that's something that with new tires that will give you slightly quieter, noise levels when you're out on the highway. But this car just cruises really well. It also, in addition to having a good ride quality, it has so much power. So anytime I put my foot down, the front end lifts up and basically the car just shoots off. So you have plenty of, highway passing power. If you want to get around that slow moving vehicle in the left lane, you can easily do so. You don't really have to think. There's no gears, so it just kind of instantly takes off. I mean, if you're trading in a Palisade and going to this vehicle, it's going to feel like otherworldly if you've never driven an EV. That's kind of the beauty about electric vehicles, is they do represent the future of driving because they just feel so much different. They're so fast, they're so quiet, they're very efficient. Now, when I started off this video, we were at a full charge and it was showing around 340 miles of range. That's with it in normal mode. Now you can affect the range by just switching the drive mode. So you can go into a mine mode, go into a normal. Right now, we are at around 90% state of charge. It's showing around 290 miles of range. If I go to Eco, it actually slows the car down. It actually feels like you're towing something when you have it in Eco. The range goes up to 298. Now this car is rated at 311. So to see it at up to 340 in normal, in Eco at 96%, it was showing 370 miles of range, is excellent. That's definitely going to be much better versus the Kia EV9, and I believe that's because this car is also more aerodynamic. Even though it's heavier, it has that bigger battery pack, around 10% larger, which I'm imagining Kia will probably get this battery pack whenever they refresh the EV9, which could be as early as next year. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But the range, once I get one back home to test out for a full week, should be among the best you're going to find. Way better versus this car. One of this car's main rivals, the Volkswagen ID Buzz. That's one of the things that holds back Volkswagen's new microbus, is the fact that it should have another 100 miles of range. This Ioniq 9 essentially gives you that extra 100 miles of range. Now, in terms of the handling dynamics, the steering of this car, as you can see, is relatively quick, but the body is very much softly tuned. The suspension allows for lots of body lean, which is fine. This is supposed to be a family vehicle. It's supposed to be for road trips, so you don't expect it to be sporty. It'd be interesting if Hyundai eventually did an N version of this car. I don't think they're going to do it, but they certainly could stuff the 600 plus horsepower motor under the hood of this thing and make it have a 0 to 60 of under 4 seconds. That would just be hilarious if Hyundai decided to do that. But just cruising along here, you also have their Highway Driving Assist 2.0, which basically allows you to have like a traffic jam assist adaptive cruise where it'll actually keep you in the lanes. And as you can see here, as I let go of the wheel, it actually will keep me centered in the lane very, very nicely. However, it's not a true hands-free system. If I keep my hands off the wheel for too long, eventually the system will yell at me and say that I need to put my hands back on the wheel, although for some reason, I'm surprised it hasn't done it yet. I'm sure it will at some point. This is actually doing a really good job. There it goes, keep hands both on the steering wheel. It does a really good job of keeping you centered in the lane. It just doesn't follow the car in front of me close enough. For me personally, that's a personal thing because I don't like it when it leaves too much of a gap. I think it starts to allow too much space for somebody to cut you off. But, you know, combined with the head-up display, all the driver assistance tech, the comfortable seats, the good ride quality, it's just a little bit loud in terms of road noise. This is, again, an excellent highway car that you could theoretically take on those longer highway routes because this car, again, offers all that additional range and also the very quick charging abilities. Now, as I take this exit here, I also really love the regen braking in this car. The one-pedal drive does a great job of just kind of bringing you down to a halt without even touching the brakes. But overall, I'm pretty impressed. Just like when I drove this car in Korea, the Ioniq 9 has very much a luxury Genesis feel to it. The technology, the acceleration, the ride quality, the space on the inside, it basically has everything that families are looking for nowadays. So I'm having trouble finding things I don't like about this car. I mean, sure, this model that we're driving is the most expensive version. It's, the most expensive brand new Hyundai that you can buy, but it's still about 20 grand less versus a lot of the upscale luxury rivals, up to like 50 grand less if you're comparing it to something like the Cadillacs, for example. But overall, for those of you who have a Palisade, for example, and you're trying to basically think about upgrading to a full EV, the new Ioniq 9 should be an easy choice, especially if you want to stay within the Hyundai family. Now, if you go back just a couple years, if you were in the market for a 3-row electric family SUV, your choices were pretty slim. So it's pretty great to see how the market and the class of vehicle has expanded over the years to basically include some much more affordable options. And after spending the day driving the brand new 2026 Ioniq 9, remember this vehicle shares a platform with the Kia EV9. So it's one of the few out there that are actually priced at a more reasonable amount. I know reasonable is a relative term because we're still talking about a price of just under $60,000. But you have to, again, think about the competitive set because after spending the day driving this vehicle, the Ioniq 9 drives like a far more expensive vehicle than its price would suggest, especially if you guys go for the fully loaded calligraphy model. This could essentially wear a Genesis badge on the steering wheel and you wouldn't even notice it. The acceleration, as you guys saw, is pretty fast for something this big. 0 to 60 happens in under 5 seconds all day long. It has a really good ride quality, even though we're on these bigger 21-inch wheels. Without any kind of adaptive air suspension. I think Hyundai's tuned the ride to be nice. It also is nice and quiet. It has comfortable seats, plenty of space on the inside. This is an excellent family vehicle. And I also love the fact that this car has more range than its sister vehicle, the EV9. And that's courtesy of that bigger battery pack, along with some of the quickest charging that you're going to find in the industry. Now, I'll have to wait until I get one back home to do a more thorough range test on it. But I will say on a full charge, around 96% in eco mode, this thing was showing around 370 miles on the trip computer. And that's, of course, in these kind of weather conditions where it's almost 90 degrees outside, so it's pretty warm. But again, these are more favorable versus super cold temperatures. I imagine when it's cold out, this is going to drop the range considerably, but it's rated to just be at 311. So for the trip computer, it should be showing around 340 when it's in normal mode with 96% state of charge. Really, makes me think this car is going to be better versus the EPA's numbers would suggest. In terms of the technology, this is basically Hyundai's standard infotainment system with their CCNC. So you have wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. The screens are starting to look a little bit on the smaller side, and that's really only because most of the competitive set has like a 14 to 15 or even larger screens. But if you want something that's not overwhelmingly screens, this is going to have a more conventional feel to it, even though, again, it is still pretty modern in terms of its tech. The second row area is also spacious. The third row is on the smaller side. If you're looking for a 3-row electric vehicle that has the most third row space in the class, you're going to be looking at the Volkswagen ID Buzz. But regardless, this is definitely an interesting addition to the 3-row electric SUV family. And I have to say, I find this vehicle more appealing versus its sister car, the Kia EV9. But if you guys are interested to get your hands on the brand new Ioniq 9, what's it going to cost? Well, Hyundai says this just went on sale this month in May 2025, and the base price of this car in America is around $58,600. So it's just under $59,000. That's plus a $1,600 destination charge. That's for the rear-wheel drive S version with, again, the 335 miles of range, but only around 215 horsepower, so half the power of this. Now, most of you are probably going gonna step it up to the SE trim that adds all-wheel drive as standard for around $62,000. It also gives you around 303 horsepower and still 320 miles of range, along with additional features. I think the sweet spot's probably the SEL trim for around $67,000. It gives you features like the power liftgate, the upgraded leather, the upgraded sound system, of course, the panoramic sunroof, the power liftgate. Those are features that most buyers are gonna want for around $67,000. Stepping up to the Limited, if you guys want the higher output powertrain, that's gonna cost you at least $71,000. The Calligraphy is around $75,000. This, however, is the Calligraphy design trim. It has some unique style touches along with the matte finish paint. All in, this model that we're showing you here with the upcharge for the paint is around $79,000. I know we are looking at basically an $80,000 Hyundai. However, this vehicle offers the same kind of features, luxury, speed, quick charging that you're gonna find from a lot of its luxury competitors like the new Cadillac Vistic, for example, the Volvo EX90, the Rivian R1S. So if you look at it from that perspective, this vehicle essentially tops out where those vehicles start. Those vehicles can get well over $100,000. There is certainly a lot of value to be had here, and that's precisely what Hyundai and Kia and Genesis excel at, is offering a ton of features at a price tag that does undercut most of its rivals. With all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2026 Hyundai Ioniq 9. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.